Hello, and welcome to Sideways. This week, we're talking about how we tie ourselves up in knots, constantly turning even the most straightforward of challenges around in our heads for so long that we can become a bigger problem than the problem itself. I have a lucky escape with a very hot barbecue. There's a top 10 reading list for summer, including a load of books that don't even exist. We wonder what it's worth being airlifted off a mountain for, twice. And we're both grateful for the same thing, for different reasons. Overthinking.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. It looks like
you've had a weekend of rock, haven't you?
I have had a weekend of tribute rock. Yes, and very good. It was too.
What were you going to say? I look like what?
I thought you'd grown a full beard.
I have grown a full beard.
Yeah, you're virtually a hipster now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'll probably open a coffee shop in Hackney. I'd have had more beard than this, but a couple of weeks ago I opened my Kamado barbecue thing and it had got a bit hot and I underestimated how hot it had got and it singed all the hair on my face off. I lost my eyebrows, my beard, the front of my fringe, everything, really.
Wow, that was quite serious then.
Well, yeah, I mean, there was that horrible smell of burning hair. I suppose it could have been a lot worse, couldn't it? Because it didn't damage my eyes, fortunately, which wouldn't have been
quite. Yeah, I shouldn't be laughing really, because it sounds quite.
What a way to go, though! What a way to go! You know,
getting burnt alive at a barbecue?
Burnt alive by your own barbecue.
Yeah. Did you cook any food in the end? Were you too shocked?
No, I did. I continued like a trooper, but
did you?
Yeah, I certainly was a little bit shaken.
Did you have
jugged experience?
Yeah. Did you have jugged hair on there instead?
No, jugged. I had to make jugged hair when I was at catering college. I went, it's horrible.
Is it not nice?
No, because the jugged part of it is the use of the hare's blood to make a sauce.
Oh, is it? Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't sound great.
I wouldn't eat any of that nonsense these days. But
well, no, it's not. It certainly wouldn't fit in with any sort of vegetarian or vegan menu, would it?
Definitely not. It'd be beyond the pale, wouldn't it?
It would, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you were right then, mate. I didn't realise you would. I heard the fire engines in the distance rushing round, so that's obviously for you. Did they hose you down? Yeah,
I should keep. Well, I suppose the upside of it is that I probably won't do it again, will I?
No, you've learnt a lesson.
I have learnt a lesson, and that's important, isn't it?
We move forward, don't we?
Exactly. I took my burnt hair and I moved forward. I mean, it could have been worse. I could have been a nudist, and then goodness knows what would have happened.
Oh God, yeah, you'd have properly gone up then, wouldn't you? And then, but I suppose you were outside your comfort zone for a little while. You learnt there, didn't you? And you've
Well, I don't mind learning. I don't mind being out of my comfort zone in that sense. It's just there are particular areas that I'm not very happy to be outside my comfort zone in.
No, I agree. And
the ones where I'm uncomfortable, basically.
Well, yeah. Should we move on then? Because
let's do that.
Not we bang on about that anymore. So here we are at the end of season 9.
Is this the last episode?
Last episode of season 9. This is episode 234, which has got a nice little ring to it.
Nice. So have I been getting the numbering conventions right recently?
Yeah, you have. I thought you automated it in some way, didn't you?
Well, I think when I upload it, it tells me what the last one was, which is quite a big hint, isn't it? But then it kind of assumes that I got the last one right, because if I got the last one wrong, it just continues the problem. Anyway,
I do double check it before it goes on Facebook. So
I thought you probably would.
You've been lined up for some time, which is quite refreshing.
I thought you probably checked it because that's the sort of anal individual you are.
No, well, we've been doing this for nearly 6 years now, so it's about time we got it right.
That's quite frightening, isn't it?
It is quite frightening.
I mean, I don't know whether doing it for 6 years is more frightening than the fact that people are still listening.
Well, there's a bit of both there, really, isn't there? Yeah.
Anyway.
But yes, I mean, this is nearly 6 years we've been doing it. It's the first time that we've got to dealing with this subject of overthinking.
Oh, I think have you been overthinking it prior to this?
I had before that. It was counterproductive, but it's a subject that comes up quite often in groups.
I bet it does.
it's something which we constantly fight about, not just with people with addiction issues, though it does seem to come up there a lot. But I think we can all do that. So there's a lesson to be learned. So hopefully some of the things I'm going to discuss, the notes I put together, are going to be useful for everyone.
I could have done with overthinking it a bit before I opened the lid of that barbecue, couldn't I?
Well, just thinking, not about overthinking.
I was definitely doing some underthinking there, wasn't I?
Use the other end of the scale. But anyway, before we start,
Yeah.
I rather like the story. It's not overly funny, I suppose, but it made me chuckle a little bit about those the Chicago Sun-Times, a newspaper.
Oh yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a feature recommending a reading list of books for the summer.
Oh yeah, I read this report.
Oh,
yeah,
did
go
you?
on.
Yeah. But unfortunately, the journalist decided to cheat a bit by using AI, and the list ended up including quite a number of books that didn't even exist. There were fiction books that were actually fiction. I mean, that must have certainly upset a few people that are a bit wordy.
If you're a journalist, I mean, that is kind of the epitome of lazy journalism, isn't it?
Well, it is, and it is sort of your job to get it factually correct.
But you know, I mean, I haven't checked, but I bet you that if you take any one of those titles that was on that list that hadn't existed, some bright spark would have been on ChatGPT or something, writing it, and then putting it up on Amazon. Yeah, and you still get a load of gullible idiots buying it.
Yeah,
even if it's a load of old shite.
Well, quite, yeah, which AI can churn out, obviously, as illustrated perfectly by this scenario.
Yeah, I'm going to check that list, and if any of them haven't been written, I might write one tomorrow.
Well, you better get it done quickly, because now you've mentioned it, everyone will be rushing out and doing it. Your original thought, unless you've patented it as well at the same time.
Definitely won't. I won't be doing that. I couldn't be asked.
Why should you?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to.
No, good.
You can't make me.
No, I'm not going to try and make you, but I think it's you're your own man, aren't you?
I am. Yeah, exactly.
You won't be
I'm an independent thinker.
You are. There's a second story I quite liked about this student who climbed Mount Fuji in Japan.
No, I haven't heard this one.
This one, he had to get airlifted to safety after getting altitude sickness.
Yeah.
But he foolishly went back 4 days later to try and find his phone that he'd lost out there. And he had to get airlifted to safety again when he got altitude sickness again. Now, I'd imagine that the emergency service, when they thought it was the same guy, I thought, my God, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, imagine having to explain to them why you were there again.
Yeah. I
left my phone up here. Do you think would you go back up a mountain for your phone?
It would be tempting, wouldn't it? Because it's quite a loss when you lose your phone.
I think there's a question, isn't there, for all of us to ponder. What is it you would, if you'd been airlifted off a mountain because you had altitude sickness?
Yeah.
What would you go back for?
Yeah, but that is a good question. Because it's got to be something, probably. Yeah. Anything from phone upwards, probably.
It's not going to be a jacket, is it?
It's not going to be a jacket. No, not really.
Well, I mean, I suppose it might be a favourite sweater or something.
Yeah, or a non-existent book.
I don't think I'd go back for a book.
No.
Would I go back for a notebook? I might go back for a notebook.
Yeah, but you'd be happy to risk it. Perhaps you thought the altitude changed over between. Perhaps you thought it eroded a little bit so you get less sick next time we went up.
Or that you kind of gotten used to it.
Got used to it and you can't get it twice. Perhaps you thought it was like a virus or something.
Like chicken pox.
Like chicken pox. Perhaps you thought you got over it.
Although you can get chicken pox more than once.
You can,
Yeah. One of my children, I can't remember which one it was, I'm sure had it 3 times.
Really?
You'd have to rate that as quite unlucky, wouldn't you?
Very unlucky. One of mine had it 4.
Yeah, I had it 5 though.
Did you? Yeah. Bloke only had it 6, definitely.
No, going back to the mountain, there's a limit to what you would have taken up a mountain in the first place, isn't there?
There is, but I suppose you could look at it from another angle. How far? What would you go to get your phone back? Is there any? If it dropped into a, into a den of into the
iniquity.
Tiger pen.
Oh,
a den of iniquity. Or if you dropped it over the edge at the zoo, you wouldn't go in, would you, into the lion enclosure to get it back?
No, but I bet some people would.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, people will do the most ridiculous things, won't they, for their phone?
Yeah,
Because, for a lot of people, that's just like, I know it would be a terrible inconvenience for any of us to lose our phone, but some people, I think it's almost like a limb, isn't it?
it is. Yeah, you sort of
Would you
almost
go into the lion's enclosure if you dropped your false arm over the wall?
you can get another one of those quite easily, can't you?
Well, I don't know. I expect you become attached to it quite literally, don't you?
Or unattached at the time. But yeah, I suppose. Well, especially if you'd lost your original arm in a lion incident,
Yeah,
you wouldn't go back in, would you? Because you get flashbacks.
yeah. But you wouldn't go back if it was the monkey enclosure though, because you get done for supplying arms to gorillas.
Way, is that where that was leading?
No, I just suddenly that old joke came into my head.
Did it? Well,
I thought it was too good an opportunity to miss.
It was too good an opportunity, but I thought perhaps you'd set that one up and thought.
No, I hadn't. I didn't. No, I'm not
that.
that smart. I'll tell you what I did hear the other day. It was also about a mountain, and I'd seen a similar story some years ago, and I think we probably talked about it. But there was another incident of someone joining a search party looking for himself.
Oh, that's right.
I always enjoy that one.
Yeah. No, that's right. No, we did talk about that. Yeah, I can't remember.
It happened again the other day.
What? Sorry.
It was in the news the other day. It happened again the other day.
Did it?
Yeah.
Did it?
Yeah.
More than once. Lightning does strike twice. But yeah. Excellent. Anyway, so we move on to the subject matter.
Yeah, let's do that. Yep.
Overthinking. Yeah, it is a subject that comes up quite a lot. When I was doing the research, it's just talking about overthinkers that are sort of motivated to excel, but face this sort of paradox where the overthinking often slows or can stall the progress by causing sort of muddy thinking, and you get a sense of overwhelm.
Yeah, you just go round and round in circles, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, initially overthinking, it's sort of aimed at preventing mistakes, but overthinking itself becomes a bigger threat to success than mistakes themselves.
Yeah, I think thinking is what avoids mistakes. Overthinking, by its very nature, is not helpful, is it?
But I think we've all done it, haven't we? Where you spin yourself around in circles, going back over the same thing time and time again, and
like a record baby, right round.
Exactly, like Dead or Alive. Like Pete Burns would have. He was probably overthinking.
Yeah, God rest his soul.
He had to get Stock Aitken and Waterman in, didn't he? To sort of.
He is dead, isn't he?
So I think he is. Yeah, he is dead. Yeah.
Well, he's not overthinking now. Then
we're not overthinking now. We'll leave him right. We'll leave him there, shall we?
Yeah.
Leave him right there. So, sort of to prevent sliding into this pattern of overthinking, I was looking at ways of doing that already. Overthinkers need regular reminders and practice and tools to prompt them to break problems into clear, manageable steps. This is a way of looking at it, to think logically and work methodically. A bit like we talked about chunking down, haven't we? And I'm going to move on to that because I know you're a big fan of chunking down, and it's something I've certainly tried to live by now. It's a much easier way of attaching or attacking, I should say, those large subjects or large issues that are going forward, aren't they?
Yeah, I think part of the problem with overthinking, maybe you're going to talk about this, is it depends what category it sits in. If you're overthinking if you are overthinking, say, a purchase decision or a technical problem, like how am I going to hang these guitars on the wall so that they are equidistant from one another? Yeah. Then overthinking obviously is very unhelpful there, and you're right. You need something to kind of interrupt that pattern and help you kind of get moving. But if you overthink, as many people do, about emotional stuff, like the end of a relationship or the way someone behaved towards you that was surprising and upsetting, I think those are situations it's much more difficult to kind of break that cycle because often there isn't logic. I mean, people overthink death, either their own or someone else's. Yeah. And there's not necessarily a definitive kind of answer or something that you can cling on to that would help you to break that cycle. So I think there's a distinction in terms of what it is that you're overthinking.
There is a distinction, and I sort of do touch on it later on, but it's just regarding those things you can control and those you can't.
Okay.
I think that's the categories that I sort of came up with, which again is very relevant to the serenity prayer that people in addiction will be well aware of. Yeah, and it's a constant reminder of exactly that.
Yeah.
Now, overthinkers generally, they call it sort of boundary boxes. That was a term I came up with. There's another term I've come up with that I'm going to come on to in a minute, which I found quite funny, and I'm sure you'll be able to help me out with it a little bit. But anyway, overthinkers, they need these boundary boxes to prevent them going on tangents of overthinking, engaging in premature optimization, letting the perfect be the enemy of the good.
Yeah. Well, we both know someone who's historically been a bit like that, don't we, Martin?
Exactly, yes. It's sort of rung true, that one, yes.
Yeah. So, I think we've spoken about it before, haven't we? Where, there have been times where you might have been so unhappy with a piece of artwork that you'd have just binned it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Or I won't start it in the first place.
Yeah, I'll let any old shit out as far as I'm concerned.
And
if I'm doing something.
Yeah, and you do a very good job of that.
I hope we're just talking about art now.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, no, I was in a jocular fashion. I introduced that, but
well, you can say it was in a jocular fashion, but I'm hurt now, and I'm probably going to overthink that.
It didn't work. It didn't land well with you, did it?
I'll probably have a little cry later on about that.
Okay. Well, try not to.
All right.
Okay, wise up, man up. How about that?
Okay. Yeah, that's always helpful, isn't it?
You feel better now?
I'll try and implement some boundary boxes.
Yeah.
Are they like sort of raised beds in the garden?
I hadn't thought of it. I just thought of like more of the sort of Amazon packaging boxes, which tend to litter our houses from time to time, don't they?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right.
Anyway, getting back on point.
Yes.
Yes, I want to go back to these physical, these tasks that are ahead. I want to concentrate on that just at the moment, rather than emotional ones. Because do you remember we did an episode on milestones?
I can't remember. I'm sure we did, yeah.
We did. It was in March 2020, if you're
yeah. It's funny that I don't remember that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think we did one on milestones because we were talking about milestones in recovery and milestones in various different things. So
March 2020, we must have only just started.
It was quite young and naive and fresh and probably quite interesting compared to now. Yeah. But they talk about using milestones of breaking down challenges, basically.
Right, yeah.
And defining clear milestones from the outset is a powerful antidote to overthinking, and it prevents. And I'm going to come on to this phrase I've come across. It prevents overwhelm, but it prevents scope creep. Have you come across that?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hadn't come across that, and I think it's probably something that would have come up in the corporate world very much.
Definitely. Well, I'll tell you, it's funny you should talk about scope creep, because as you were describing what you were talking about there, the sort of I can't remember what you said before, but it resonated with me. Yeah, you tend to find that people broadly split into two camps. They're either quite good at knowing what the next step is in a plan, but they might not know what the grand objective is. So it's like, I know what I've got to do next, but I don't know where I'm actually going.
Oh, okay.
Or there are people who are really good at kind of visualizing where they want to get to, but got no bloody clue how to take the next step to get there. And that's kind of what you're talking about, isn't it? It's like, one of them, you can get kind of mired in the detail, and that can keep you going round and round and round and round.
Yeah.
And in the other one, you don't really know enough about what you're trying to do, and that also can keep you going round and round in a circle.
You're absolutely right. And I think when I looked up scope creep, because I liked the phraseology, it's talking about projects that get out of hand. So you start off with, like you're describing, with a sort of an objective.
Yeah.
And that objective can get lost in the mire with all sorts of other objectives come in, all sorts of other ideas come into it, and it just grows enormously very quickly.
Yeah.
And gets out of hand, and they call that scope creep.
Yeah, like when people they're going to decorate their bathroom and they end up renovating the entire house because they think,
absolutely,
got to do the landing now because it doesn't fit with the bathroom and all that.
Well, you do it, and certainly when I was doing that exact job, sometimes people say, "Can just do the woodwork for me round the doorway and that," and you do that, and say, it makes the rest of the skirting look dull. Exactly. Can you do that? And you end up going along the hallway, up the stairs, around. Absolutely right. Proper scope creep.
Exactly. You're much better off being sloppy like me than you don't have to have people doing loads of work all the time.
Never do decorating. Much easier, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So going back to that, these clear milestones, they recommend sort of checking off each milestone. So you give yourself, taking the decorating idea again, you can, that's what I've always done in the past, is to have a bit of a milestone. So by the end of the day, you want to do this. By the end of the next day, you want to do that, etc. And as you, even though you know what the overall project is, you do break it down into chunks. And so,
do you put it on a spreadsheet?
I don't put it on a spreadsheet, no. But if I'd had my computer with me, perhaps I'd got a bit painty.
Yeah.
And so it wouldn't have been great. You know what I mean? But I would have, I could do it like that. So
you have a mental spreadsheet.
A mental spreadsheet, and I'm happy with those. So just looking at what milestones are and what they aren't, going back to this context of things that you can achieve and things that are outside of your control, because that's basically what it comes down to. Things like things you can't control, like the emotional ones you're talking about. And also things like if you're looking to build up a YouTube channel, for example, and you don't know when it's going to reach, so many thousand subscribers or something. And we've also, what we have talked about, which came up, was habit streaks. Remember we talked about that?
Yeah, I do.
And that's not a milestone either, because it's open-ended, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So you'll keep doing something just to keep the streak going. And I think we talked about before in one of our episodes about how debilitating that can be when you get hooked up in that.
Or good or healthy, if you're getting caught into a habit streak, I don't know, going to the gym or learning a new language or whatever, then those are kind of. I suppose it's really about being able to identify the difference between something that's kind of positive and healthy for you and something that isn't.
It is, but it's also those habit streaks become taking the gym example. If you need to go every day to keep your habit streak going, and you're dragging yourself in when you should be doing something else, or if you're very ill and you still go and do it anyway, just to keep your habit streak going.
Yeah.
So it's all about going back to the balance again, isn't it? Of getting stuff in the right perspective.
Yeah. It's about being it's something that's got to be congruent with the rest of your life, isn't it?
Congruency. We like that word, don't we, really?
I think congruent is a nice word. I think
it is
probably,
very nice.
Probably be in my top 50 if I was pushed.
Top 50 of all time.
I think so. I think congruent would make it.
Would it?
I would have thought so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't given it a great deal of thought, but
I'm sure you haven't put a top 50 together, but if you were to do so.
Yeah. If I was pushed, it would certainly be in my first draft.
Would it? Yeah.
Yeah.
You could
draft might be in there as well, actually.
You could have a top 40, like in the old days on Top of the Pops, and you could, when a new word comes along,
countdown.
You could say like a new entry this week at number 6 is congruency.
Yeah, I don't know about congruency. I don't.
All right.
Trip off the tongue so much.
Oh, okay.
Perambulator, that would be in there.
It's got to be in it. Yeah. All nice words.
Yeah. Anyway,
we'll come back to some of those nice words, I'm sure, going forward.
I expect so.
I'm just trying to drag you back into some sort of shape here. So why milestones matter for motivation was the next little bit here. There's only a little bit on there. Only really talking about rewards. We do more of what's rewarded.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reward.
So you mean if you see tangible improvement in something, you're more likely to do it again?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that must feature quite heavily in recovery then.
It does feature a lot, because again, if you overthink stuff, but you're not making real progress, you're not being rewarded for your efforts.
So do you think? Sorry, go on.
And that sort of hurts motivation. Yeah.
So is that one of the reasons why I don't know if every peer support group or whatever does it, but you get the little medals, don't you, for I don't know, a month, 6 months, a year in sobriety and that sort of stuff.
They call them chips in the fellowships. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting, because that's got a gambling connotation.
Yeah,
so okay. Anyway, so that's the same sort of thing, isn't it? It's like there's something, a kind of a reminder to you there that actually this is a milestone, and this is the purpose of it. When you look back at your year or your 5 years. Yeah.
You do. I mean, that little chip that you get. I remember I got one from AA. I think it's a 4-month one. The last one I got from AA, the 4-month one, and I had that in my pocket and held it around, took it around with me. It was a real motivational, significant milestone. Yeah, and it spurred me on to more. That's for sure.
Have you got a 13-year chip now?
No, I don't. I don't go to the fellowships these days. But
So it's just the AA that do the chips then.
well, the other fellowships.
You only
do
get
the
chips
too.
at the AA.
Well, no, NA as well, and CA, and the other fellowships.
Okay.
So it's only at the fellowships you get your chips. Gamblers Anonymous, as you say, would be a good one to get a chip at, wouldn't it?
Do you think they give them chips at Gamblers Anonymous?
I've never been to a GA meeting, that's for sure. Be interesting to go along to one, actually. I'm sure that'd be...
Yeah, I want to know if they get chips.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah.
You get chips with it, they can ask in your first meeting.
Yeah, it'd be funny, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Make everyone laugh.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's about it, really. I mean, the other bits that it came on to was regarding when each milestone is clear and self-contained, it becomes a natural opportunity for small wins. So those small little victories are always nice, aren't they? And that moment of completion reinforces your progress and gives your brain an earned reward, something that overthinkers often miss because they're mentally already 10 steps ahead. So which is true. I know I've done that myself. You don't live in the moment and enjoy the small win because you're already way ahead. You know, you not only you're contemplating the next step, but probably the next three, and it sucks the joy out of what you've achieved in the meantime. Which is why the mantra of one day at a time in recovery is so important.
Yeah, I mean that's also why overthinking, when you're thinking when with regard to something kind of painful or negative, is so destructive, because you're not only dealing with whatever it is that has fallen upon you in the moment, you're also thinking about how much worse it can get.
Yeah.
And that's part of the difficulty of overthinking, certainly in emotional terms, that you will imagine the worst possible case scenario. And that then becomes, becomes easy to do that rather than break yourself out of that kind of cycle of thinking and consider the possibility that something more positive might occur.
Yeah, quite, yeah. No, I understand that. And I was trying to find ways of how to create milestones. We've agreed they're sort of useful in these instances. Not a great deal on that really, but they're talking about initially about practicing with an already familiar task. So if you take a task that you already do regularly, and sort of spell out the milestones you already work through each time you do it. Okay, then try and use that process to break a new task. So, for example, if you've got a task that's going to take you an hour, then your first milestone should be something you can hit in the first 5 to 10 minutes. And then they reckon including more than 4 or 5 milestones becomes then.
So that's quite a short-term one, isn't it?
That is a very short-term one, but again, I was looking at when I was writing this down. I was thinking about the decorating and that. You can do that. You can do little tasks like that. You can break them down, but
yeah, I mean, so those sorts of things certainly help you to get through something that's kind of difficult or mundane.
Yeah.
But the thing that was springing to my mind, is in some of the work I do. Occasionally, people are struggling with taking on a new role at work, or they're feeling that they're lacking in confidence because they've been moved into a new role and they feel a bit of imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And I always say to them, you need to have realistic expectations of yourself, and there is an opportunity for milestones. Say to yourself, well, what is it reasonable for me to have achieved after a week and a month?
Yeah.
Because what I've noticed is, and I guess we're all like this, when you start doing something new, you think you ought to be able to do it much quicker than you actually can.
Absolutely.
So if you're realistic about what you can expect from yourself, either in terms of your productivity or your knowledge, then you can set milestones and review against them. So you're kind of, sit down after your first month in a new role or doing something new and think about what you told yourself you ought to have been able to achieve after that month, and then see where you are actually against that milestone. And most of the time, I think, we probably exceed our expectations because, as long as you've been realistic and you haven't expected too much from yourself. And if you review it and you think, yes, I have done better than I thought I would, then that will give you greater sense of purpose and motivation to move further forward.
No, I agree. I do agree. That all makes perfect sense. until it comes to the perfectionist who thinks should have it all in place from day one virtually and struggles with that. And also, if you get influenced by what other people think you should have achieved by that time.
Yeah, I mean,
If that doesn't align with your own expectations, I think that can cause a few wrinkles, can't it?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking here about the convergence of overthinking in a practical sense, and then the emotional impact of either other people's expectations or your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, if you're a perfectionist, then you've got to get that sorted. Because to be honest, a perfectionist won't have realistic milestones and will always tell themselves they should have achieved more. So that's not about your ability to control your overthinking with milestones. That's about you needing to deal with another emotional problem that you haven't dealt with and therefore is hampering you from succeeding.
Well, thank you for that therapy lesson.
Yeah, it's all right.
And a good theory. I'm sure that it stacks up. But
Probably.
Ish. But I sort of reached the end of my notes there. It was quite a fairly short and succinct, but I think...
Well, I suppose because you've been out all weekend tripping the light fantastic.
Yes, I was burning the candle at both ends.
You were, yeah.
Which was, I'm paying for it today, really, yeah.
Are you? Are you feeling a bit jaded?
Well, yeah, I think so.
Well, you're getting too old for all that whole weekend out.
I think you're
standing
right.
around in a field, aren't you?
Well, I am, but we did succum to taking a chair.
I saw that in one of the photos I saw. I saw you sitting on a picnic chair.
I did, and it was only, we didn't the first couple of days, but I just thought that would be a good idea. So we all took chairs, and it was a resounding success. You've sort of got a base to go back to, and you can go and have a sit down. Yeah, much better.
Yeah, see, I can remember seeing people sitting on chairs like that, sort of open air stuff in the past, and mocking them.
You're snooting. You're cocking a snoot at them, aren't you?
Yeah, but I suppose we've reached that age, haven't we?
We have, and you can't battle against that time. It's just that thing where you do need a little bit of comfort.
Just don't go to things like that, and you don't have to face it.
Well, that's your way of dealing with it, isn't it? Anyway, that's it.
Good. What's next?
I'm good. It's just the conundrum feature. Really, was the next thing on the list.
All right. Well, here's one for you to overthink.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. You want to leave a toxic group chat, but you know that everyone will notice. What do you do?
Yes, I have done that.
Oh, have you?
Yes, I have.
So we've got a real life example
We have.
here. Then.
Yeah, well, I haven't got really a great answer. I just left.
Oh, okay. So you didn't worry that people might say, "Well, why aren't you in the group chat anymore?"
No, in fact, perhaps it wasn't toxic. It was, there was a bit of toxicity. It was just a bit boring, and I think I didn't want to listen to people whining about stuff, and so.
Right, and so were these people that you still had to see, and did any of them question your decision?
I had a couple of people actually text me say, "You all right?"
Okay.
I've noticed you've left. You all right? And I just said, "Yeah, I got a bit bored."
Okay. So you were honest then.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your advice. Your advice is honesty is the best policy.
Yes.
And if you want to leave a toxic group chat, you just say, I can't stand all of you toxic people in this group chat. I'm off.
I'm off ski, yeah.
Right,
is there any reason you asked that? Have you had to...
No, I haven't. That was just one of the things that was on my list. And I thought it kind of, in a strange sort of way, it kind of fits with overthinking. Because I bet a lot of people overthink that decision. Oh, I really want to get out of this group chat, but I can't because people will judge me and then I'll have to explain myself. I can just hear it. I mean, I'm not the sort of person that would be caught in this problem because I'm so antisocial. I'd be unlikely to be in a group chat in the first place. And if I was, nobody would be surprised if I just left it.
No. Well, perhaps that's if they know you well enough. Yeah, that's true. But
I don't think I'm in a group chat. I'm only in a group chat with my family, and I wouldn't leave that one.
No, that would be a difficult one to leave. They would say, "What's going on here?"
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to leave the. I don't think I'm in another. Oh no, hang on. I'm in two other group chats that are related to study, but I haven't.
Oh, right.
I haven't felt the need to leave either of those, but I suppose that's understandable too.
Yeah, it is understandable, but I'd imagine there's a lack of toxicity in those groups anyway, isn't there? I mean, I can't imagine they'd drift into that.
No, they don't. I'll tell you what does happen in study groups generally, though, and I've noticed it. I've always noticed this in groups of people that are studying something together. And that's that people constantly complain about the amount of work there is.
Oh, right, okay.
But I wouldn't regard that as toxic. I think that's just a kind of almost like a shared pain.
Yeah, I agree. Does that sit all right with you then? When
I don't care. I just ignore it. I don't really care. You know, there is a kind of part of me that thinks, well, what do you expect?
Don't do it. Yeah, go and do something else.
Exactly. But I'm self-aware enough to know there's only a slight divide between that and being a bit judgmental. So I don't really want to do that. You know, I mean, I'm sure I'm quite lucky, aren't I? Because I probably don't have a lot of the pressures that some people do when they're studying, you know, young children and all that sort of caper. So
quite, yeah.
Because I'm elderly.
You're at a different stage of your life. That's the way I was going to put it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Elderly is another one.
Yeah.
Or another way of doing it. But I have known, going back to leaving group chats, I've known people that have done it to get attention.
Okay.
So they will get people, they want them to say, are you all right? Are you okay? How's it going? That sort of thing.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah. And how does that tend to be handled then? I suppose, as you say, people do go after them and ask them if they're all right. And then do they rejoin? Do they tend to rejoin?
Yes, it can happen.
So it's actually passive aggressive to do that, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, obviously you've got to understand the underlying circumstance, but yeah, it can be. It can be, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, interesting.
I thought I'd throw that in whilst we were talking about.
Well, thank you. That's added something to the conversation.
Broadened your horizons a little bit.
Yeah, broadened my horizons.
What's going on?
Yeah.
So the gratitude list then is the next thing.
All right. I think it's probably your go.
Mine's quite simple. Is having we've talked about being in the at the park for a festival.
Yeah.
Over 3 days, and on my gratitude list was no rain, because I know how miserable I can get.
Now that is interesting.
I can know how miserable I can get when I'm outdoors like that, and there's no shelter, or you just got to get dripped on if you want to see a certain band. So I was grateful that we went through the whole of the weekend and no rain, because I've been up there before on the May bank holiday and suffered a whole day of deluge.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been funny for you, but very funny for me.
You'd have laughed, yeah, exactly.
I would. It always remind me of that story of you getting caught at the furthest point from your house in lockdown when you got absolutely soaked.
I did, yeah. When you were allowed to go out for a walk. Yeah.
Still makes me laugh whenever I think about that. Okay, so I'll tell you what's on my gratitude list.
Go on.
The fact that we had some rain over the weekend.
Where did you have some then?
Yeah. On Saturday morning, when I took the dogs out on Saturday morning, we got absolutely soaked.
Oh, okay. Now that depends upon the timing then.
Well, we left home about 10 to 7.
Oh yeah, crikey! No, we didn't get to the.
And I don't think it stopped raining until we got home. So yeah, we got heavily rained on for over an hour. Then yesterday morning when I took them out, it was raining again, and it's been raining overnight. So the garden really needed it. So I was very pleased to have some rain.
Yeah,
it would have been funnier if it had been raining when you were at the festival. But
well, thank you. Yeah,
I have everything.
Well, I think it was great. It worked out well because we arrived at the ground. I mean, at the festival it was around about midday-ish, so all the rain would have gone by that time. On both days.
Good for you.
Yeah. So
it has brought the slugs and snails out, which isn't quite so funny.
Has it? Yeah, not a great concern to me, but thanks. Thanks for.
I'll tell you, I've got one other small thing on my gratitude list, and that's that you brought nudge psychology to my attention in the last podcast.
Yeah,
because I've been reading. Here's a book recommendation. Haven't done one of these for a while, have we?
No, we haven't.
So, you can't see it.
I can't see it. There it is.
Hang on. Let's see if got to get it. Anyway, never mind that. It's called Nudge. Funnily enough,
is it?
Yeah, and it's a really excellent book about nudge psychology. It's a fascinating read.
Oh, right. Okay, good. Well, I'm happy for that then. Happy that we've introduced a subject that you've been able to explore further.
Yeah. I have.
And you increased your knowledge. So you're going to be doing any... you're going to go on tour with that and teach people that. You could do that, couldn't you?
I don't think so, but that is, so I guess it will be professionally useful in some respects.
Yeah. You're going to go... It'll come up at some point, won't it?
I'm just looking at a bloke, one of my neighbours, who's walking along the road. I see he started vaping now because he always used to. You used to see him get to the end of the road away from his house, and he'd light up a cigarette. He's obviously smoking on the quiet. But when you do that, you don't realise, do you, that everyone can smell it on you?
Well, quiet, yeah.
Exactly. So I think he's obviously turned to vaping now. This might be stage 2 of his, surreptitious.
Much easier to hide, isn't it?
I would have thought so, particularly if he's got a fancy smelling one like lamb and mint sauce or whatever you had once. Bloody ridiculous.
Kebab, yeah. It's yes, it does. You can vape indoors and no one can tell.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway.
Good. Yep.
I was just going to look at the best-selling albums in the UK.
Yeah, I did very well last time, didn't I? I seem to remember.
You did very well.
Mm-hmm.
This one, it might be a little bit more testing, but the top division winners in the UK, 3 unusual names come up on these ones.
Oh, great! Normally I'm not very good at the football ones anyway.
No, you're better at the unusual ones because they stand out a little bit more.
You say that, okay?
Rather than the regulars. But anyway, we'll come back to that. So in 1975,
yeah.
This was a best of, so it's a difficult one.
Is it various artists?
No, it's a best of a certain.
Okay, well, give me a clue about the group then.
It's tough, really.
Is it Hot Chocolate?
It's not. No, it's sort of Motowny, sort of.
Oh, is it?
Sort of funky.
Temptations. Oh, Earth, Wind and Fire.
No, it's not. But probably
Sly and the Family Stone.
No, it begins with S. That's a good.
Oh no, not Santana.
Santana in that.
S.
Yeah, I'm sure you weren't a particular fan, but perhaps I know my mum was.
Supremes.
No, it's not. But it's.
Is it a group? Is it?
It is a group. Yeah.
American.
Yeah. Yes, I'm sure they were American. Yeah.
Who did you say? Who are you going to say liked them?
My mum.
Oh. No, it's not going to help me.
No, it's not. I think I have to give it to you. It's the Stylistics.
Oh, the Stylistics. Yeah. Oh, my goodness me, I can remember them. They always used to wear fancy suits, didn't they?
They did. Yeah, they always dance in a line and do a little funky.
Very, very coordinated, weren't they? It was like synchronised swimming for the top of the pops.
Yeah, they were.
Okay, I didn't like them. So
no, I didn't particularly. But 1975, so they had the best-selling album of the year. So
did they? Bloody hell, that was a lean year, wasn't it?
Well, I don't know. It's just perhaps it's just you and I don't like them. Doesn't mean everyone don't. Obviously, they're very popular.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to overthink it.
Now, 1985 is the next one. So 10 years later.
What a great year that was.
A great year. In what respect?
Well, it's mid-80s. It's like
mid-80s.
I feel like I was in my pomp in those years.
I think
I've got a feeling I might have won the Best Actor award in the Kent Full Length Drama Festival that year, and I think we might have won Battle of the Bands that same year. So it became inevitable that I was going to be famous. And I ended up not being.
Not being, but it was the start of something not big.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, 85.
Okay. Well, you can have a guess. But
No. Go on. You'll have to give me something.
No. It's an album which was, I think, it's pretty much synonymous with one of the first ever digital recordings. So getting
Peter Gabriel.
No, it's when CDs first really came out.
Oh, I see. Dire Straits.
Yeah.
Brothers in Arms.
That's it.
Yeah.
Exactly, mate. Yes.
Yeah, I remember it well. Yeah.
I think a lot of people rushed it. I bought it on CD. And
I don't know if I had it. It's a great album.
I just started. I think it's one of my. When you first get a CD, you think this clarity is just magnificent. I've got to get some. You almost collect CDs of just because it's a CD.
Well, I know that I didn't have a CD player until 1991.
Oh, didn't you? All right, okay.
No, because I bought myself one for my birthday when I moved into my first house.
Oh, right, okay. So
and I can tell you the first CD I bought was by Mary Shaping Carpenter.
Oh, you still have a soft spot for the girl ever since, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I've still got that CD as well. Stones in the Road, it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, good. I know you've mentioned her in the past, so she's obviously a big impact. I didn't know it was your first. I can't remember my first CD. Dire Straits Brothers in Arms would have been one of the first ones because I think it was one of those first ones that it was actually digitally recorded rather than analog and analog. I mean, so I think that it's it has a certain
je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, a certain place in a lot of people's hearts.
Anyway, good. I got that one right then, so I've done well there.
95.
Yeah.
How the hell this became the top-selling album of the year? By two artists.
Rubbish then.
Yeah, two artists.
Robson and Jerome.
Exactly. You got it on this spot. I was going to drag you along towards them, but you've got it.
Well, I think you gave me enough.
That's all you needed.
Yeah, Robson. Yeah. I've got no idea what it was called, but
it was called Robson and Jerome.
I mean, absolutely shocking state of affairs.
Oh, yeah.
Almost as bad as when Glenn Hoddle and Chris Waddle did Diamond Lights on Top of the Pops.
It's the same sort of cringe. Absolutely, it was.
Absolutely terrible.
Or Head Over Heels by Kevin Keegan, another one, absolute terrible. But it had to be done at the time. It was, but perhaps it's a reflection of how bad the music was in the mid-90s. I don't know.
Yeah, it must be. Yeah.
Anyway, Robson and Jerome. So, just going back to 74 or to 75. So the 74-75 season, the top division winners was a team that hadn't long been up in the promotion from the old second division.
I don't think I'm going to get this, you know. So it's obviously, is it a team that's not won it since?
Yeah, no, they haven't won it since. But you know, they might have been up there for a little while. But anyway, they used to be quite big at one time. They were quite a big team that would always get to the latter stages, the FA Cup, and on this occasion they did actually win the league.
What part of the country are they from?
The middle of the country, but not the Midlands.
Aston Vanilla.
Not the Midlands, no.
Oh.
More Peak District, sort of area.
Oh, Derby.
Derby
County, of course. Yes. Derby, yeah. That's when Brian Clough was their manager.
He was there.
Yeah.
Okay. And the 84-85 season, this was a team that...
was that Everton?
It was Everton. Well played, straight in. No problem at all. Because they used to win a few titles.
I knew they were good, that kind of... Because that was around the time that West Ham had their best ever finish, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I think 85-86. I think we ended up third. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm doing quite well here.
Yes, you are. You're training this, and
I'm
you're
quite
probably
proud of myself.
And the next one is the 94-95 season. Again, a very unusual team that won it and has not won it since.
It's not Blackburn, is it?
Yes, it is Blackburn.
Wow.
Oh, mate, you've
absolutely on fire.
You are. I'm going to give you a chip.
Yeah, but not if I'm in Gamblers Anonymous, because that just seems wrong.
GA. But yeah, I think you've earned something. You've earned a little something, a reward.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Just to motivate you on a little bit.
Yeah, I'll consider that a landmark, a milestone.
A milestone. Yeah, it is. Yeah,
great, good.
You've set the bar quite high.
But that's okay, because I'll reset the bar next time.
You can't you?
To zero.
You've done your best work in that area.
I've done well there. I can. Yeah, I'll rest easy tonight.
Pat yourself on the back, son.
Yeah, I'm going to. Yeah. All right.
Nice one.
All right, I'm going to have some tea now.
Have some tea, mate. It's an unusual
bean chili tonight.
What is it?
Bean chili.
Bean chili, and was it haricot beans he used?
Kidney beans. Probably some chickpeas in there.
Oh yeah.
Whatever's to hand, really. You can
proper
put in
hippie
chili,
stuff,
can't you?
Yeah.
Proper hippie stuff. Yeah.
Proper one can. Yeah. Good work.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, mate. Good to see you.
See you later.
Bye.
Laters. Bye.
Bye.
Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandywellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen, and we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.